Hey guys, this is John Zombro, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm actually here in my garage workshop, so please pardon the mess because it is a working garage and a working workshop. What we're going to do today in this brief video is we're going to review how to make a functional training sandbag or a sand-filled inner tube. And that's what this device is, as you can see. And these are wonderful training tools. I've used these for decades and they're very simple and easy to make. That's what I'm going to show you today. I think that these inner tubes filled with sand are slightly more useful for training than the cloth bags that you can purchase. These are quite a bit less expensive and extremely effective. When you lift them, you can lift via the handles that we'll create, or you can work on grip strength with any type of a grasp. They mold to the body wonderfully when carrying, can be dragged, and are super versatile. In fact, this very one that we're looking at here is over 10 years old, and it's had heavy commercial use and is still going just fine. So the very first thing we do when we're thinking about creating our sandbag is we get some sand. So I'm going to move this. And I've got a little more of a workspace here. One of the types of sand that you can get is play sand. You can also get concrete sand or traction sand. Doesn't really matter, and they'll come in various weights, bags of 50, 60, and 80 pounds most typically. Just a few dollars, and all you'll need, depending on the weight of your sandbag, is probably one to a maximum of 2 bags if they're smaller. So the next thing we think about is, well, how much weight does a person need for their sandbag? Now, I have used everything from 20 to 80 pounds in 5-pound increments. I used to have those lined up. What we found for most of our workouts, the outdoor group training workouts that we do, that a weight between 30 and 50 pounds seems to be ideal, with the beginners or the lighter framed individuals doing very well with 30 to 35 pounds for most of the exercises, which we'll be showing in future videos. And then the more advanced folks are closer to the 50-pound mark. And it's certainly fine if we're talking about 27.4 pounds or 55.9, doesn't really matter. But it's important not to go too heavy or too light, or we lose that kind of all-around middle ground training stimulus that we're looking for with our sandbags. So now that we've got the sand, what we want to do is we want to create an inner, almost bladder, if you will, of the sand that we can fit into our inner tube. So you take your sand and carefully pour it into one of these heavy-duty 3 mil bags, and then simply put an overhand knot in the end. Press out all the air, but leave a little bit of space so that the sand can shift around when it's in there. Very simple. Then the next question is, how do you obtain the inner tube? Well, this is actually a very green procedure. If you go to any of your local tire distributors or service centers, they usually have a large bin to recycle the damaged inner tubes. And most of the time, if you go in and ask politely, they'll sell you an inner tube or several for just a few dollars. And in some cases, they'll even say, take what you want for free, but always ask. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we've got a relatively straight edge cut across the edge of the tube. And this tube that I'm using for demonstration is a bit larger than I'll typically use for creating a sandbag, but it was the one I had available at this time for demonstration. You can use a utility knife, which is very effective. Just be careful with the razor blade. Sharp shears or scissors can also work. But once you've got your inner tube cut so that now it's a hollow tube as opposed to one continuous unit, you probably want to trim a section out of it so that you have a large C and err on the side of having a little more material than a little less. Go ahead and hose it off, wipe it off, get it fairly clean, and then you'll take one end of your tube, and we'll go ahead and seal it up. So how that works is you want to do a fold, almost like you're doing a paper fold, and then from that point simply make a fairly tight roll. And you can see what's happening as I do this roll. I'm creating that handle just like you can see on the other sandbag. So our next move is to take a hose clamp. Again, you can get these at any hardware store for just cents, essentially, and place it on down fairly low on our handle. This can be secured with a screwdriver. Most of these have a slot for a blade screwdriver in them. You can use a socket wrench, a driver, or if you have available a driver for your drill, that's excellent as well. Not a bad idea to make sure that you're using a slow speed, and that just helps you have a little more control, and you're less likely to strip the head on the hose clamp. So that's how we'd make the hose clamp. Now, if you don't want a long handle, which I typically prefer, some people will like a shorter handle, simply fold it over and place a clamp on it. So you can clamp it, and that way your hand's free, because then the next move is to use some duct tape. This happens to be Gorilla tape. It's one of the stronger tapes. I like it a lot. Use a high quality tape. You're never going to be sorry for doing that. So how we would tape this is we'd simply make an overlapping wrap around one time, then do a fold over the top and a fold over the top, so you've basically created a T to cover that, then wrap again. When you get down to the hose clamp, make sure that you're wrapping in the direction that the tag end is sticking up, and give it a few extra wraps. This will cover it. You won't have any risk for catching your hand on it or anything. You'll never have to think about it again. So that's how you'll seal it up. And once you've got one side done, it's fairly easy to work your sand-filled contractor bag into the inner tube. Again, leave a little bit of play because we want that moldability and graspability, and then go ahead and seal up the other end just like you've done here. If you go through these simple steps, we're probably talking about a total cost of around $10 and potentially a time investment of about 10 minutes. What you'll get is a wonderful tool which allows you to do all sorts of functional exercises, lifting and carrying and one and two arm types of things. And I'll be showing some videos in the future on exactly how we do those things. But this is how you make your functional sandbag or sand-filled inner tube. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for joining me. And if you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. And again, have a fabulous day.